Dr. Vincent Lasse was a parliamentary representative for the Point Fortin constituency during the period 1991 to 2001. During that period, he served in the following ministries: Housing and Settlement, Planning and Development, Finance, Foreign Affairs, Public Utilities, Works and Transport, and the Environment. Dr. Lasse also chaired and participated in several technical committees.
Well, it was not very difficult because my entire life I had been in service to my country. And I believe that service to mankind is service to God in many ways. When I graduated from Howard University in 1971 to be exact, I received an appointment in the Foreign Service of Trinidad and Tobago. And I served for 20 years as a diplomat representing Trinidad and Tobago. 12 years at the United Nations, that is 6 years the UN New York, and 6 years UN Geneva. After that I was posted to London High Commission, where I served for another 6 years. And when I returned to Trinidad and Tobago, I was made the director of the Legal and Marine Affairs Division. And I remained there until 1991, when I was enticed into getting involved in politics in 1991. I ran for the Point Fortin seat, and I was successful. And ever since, I've been in Point Fortin, and I've decided I am not moving. Whether in or out of politics, I continue to serve the people of Point Fortin.
As a member of parliament, he was very dedicated to his job. And he was new as a member of parliament, but he came out of the diplomatic service and entered the politics. Originally, he was from Point Fortin, so he fought the Point Fortin constituency, and he won. And very good member of parliament in terms of representation for his constituents.
Although Dr. Lasse was busy with government and parliamentary responsibilities, he did not ignore his constituents.
Well, my most challenging task in parliament was to allocate my time between parliamentary work and, of course, representing my people. And that is why I was never interested in serving on parliamentary committees, because that would have taken away from the time I had to work with the people of Point Fortin. And really, I dedicated 2 full days of actual representation on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and the entire day on Saturday. So even though I had a residence in Port of Spain, being a Minister of Housing and Settlements, I also maintained a residence in Point Fortin. And every Friday after Parliament, I find myself here in Point Fortin for the weekend. That's how I was able to manage my role as a minister and in Parliament, as against serving the people of Point Fortin.
And I think that was one of his strengths, the commitment to the community of Point Fortin.
Dr. Lasse's diplomatic background provided him with the finesse and decorum necessary for parliamentary debates.
He was the first minister to introduce the joint venture concept. And the first houses that were built, set of houses that were built under the joint venture with a private sector company, was at Valencia, where they built 150 houses, low-cost housing. Then he was also responsible for the Savannah Villas, the towers in Port of Spain. There was a fire. And then he went on with another joint venture with the private sector. And he built what is known now as the HDC building. The private sector got involved and they built it. The private sector financed it. And that was built. But he was very innovative in terms of how he handled the housing.
I was rather thankful to being in a Ministry of Housing and Settlements because, you know, food, clothing, and shelter, basic necessity of life. And therefore, I use my portfolio in housing to make sure that I did as much as I can do for the people of Point Fontaine and the nation in general. For example, Point Fontaine had been quasi-squatting community. And one of the things I did, I tried to regularize every single squatter in Point Fontaine based on the communities. For example, there's a place called Warden's Road. It was only a road. That's where the name Warden's Road with houses alongside the road. Persons there were given agricultural leases. But behind the road in the interior, squatting settlements developed. And that was a big challenge for me. So what I did, I decided that I would convert all the tracks, the mud tracks, into roads. And right now, Warden Road is no longer a road, it's a whole development.
I think Dr. Lasse actually make a miracle in that area because I actually used to go and catch birds. I know there was one track there. Yeah, just a track, right? And it was very, very, very rural. As a matter of fact, when I used to rent, I was offered a spot there. And to be honest, I refused to go across because of the condition. The forest, the trees, you know. And I could tell you that Lasse took that place from scratch, along with, I must give Councillor Kennedy, the late Councillor Kennedy, some credit. They all worked together. And you would see for yourself. I think that area has some of the best infrastructure presently. And I think all that was based on Mr. Lasse, Dr. Lasse. I must give him that. I mean, the man is very consistent, and I have to give him full credit for the development of Warden Road.
Our infrastructure, I think from a national perspective, was not what it should be. I think during his tenure as the Minister of Housing at the time, he was able to pioneer one of the first government housing projects in the community. I think that really stood out. He was also able to liaise with the other ministries and the borough to put some other major infrastructures in place in terms of our drainage, improvement in some of the service of our road networks, things that are less visible, but he was able to work with the corporation to do that. We also had some improvement in some of the community centers in the various districts, and that was achieved with his support as the Member of Parliament.
But I was able to build a lot of houses in an area called Strikers Villas. That was the area where persons during the strike of 1937 and thereabouts under Butler, they were thrown out of the company quarters, and most of them decided to go into the which was high woods then, so to speak, and they cut down trees and they were all squatting there. And I think it was significant to me because in those days, I understand my father was a contractor in the bitumen area, and his men went and helped cut down those trees. And I came many, after 30 years later, 40 years later, to build houses for those persons.
Dr. Lasse's tenure as a parliamentary representative was not all smooth sailing. He created history, being one of the first persons to cross the parliamentary floor.
It was a very, very painful thing to do. Very painful, But I had to choose between resigning Parliament and going and join my family in the United States, or staying in Trinidad and serving the people who elected me. And I took the route of staying to serve the people who elected me. Now, while I would not want to dwell too much on this, but one has to say it for history, they developed a sour relationship between myself and my then political leader. And it started over the fact that I built through self-help, and my own funds, I built a office for the Member of Parliament and the Constituent of Point Fontaine. And this didn't go down well with the leader. I had requested that he should come to open the office along with Dr. Seth, and they refused. And then many months after, he came to Point Fontaine. And when he saw the building, he said, "How you could build this? I have been in Parliament 17 years, and how you do this?" I said, "Well, Chief, listen, I was the Minister of Housing, and I built a house for my party. I haven't built a garage for myself." And that is where it stopped. But then he cooled down a bit. But after that, an early election was called. We won the Point Fontaine seat. I won my seat and we won the borough. So I went to him and said, "Chief, look what, we can use the borough to assist the whole constituency." But apparently that didn't go down well with him. And after a while, he actually stopped speaking with me. So after 6 months without any communication, that was in December 1996, I went up to the States, had a discussion with my family, said, "Listen," they said, "get out of this completely. Get out. Just resign and come on." It was very difficult for me to make a decision then. So I had a discussion with the then Speaker of the House. What should one do in a situation like this? How do I continue serving my people and the relationship with my leader is not? And eventually, the idea of serving out my time as an independent Member of Parliament came up. Then I wrote to the Speaker indicating that I intend to serve out my time as an independent Member of Parliament. And that relieved me of being under a whip. And I was free then to assist the people of Point Fontaine to the best of my ability. It is significant also to note that I joined no political party then. It wasn't until some 9 months later that I joined the UNC. And I joined it then because at that time there were signs of true and genuine national unity. And my concern was being helped under the umbrella of national unity. And at that time, I joined the party, for which I have no regrets. And now I'm a member of that party.
Such a decision is proof of one's dedication and love for people before self.